can't see your finger. Yeah. Okay. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration, The Power is Within podcast. Tonight's topic is going to be red flags. And we are a little bit late again as usual. One day we'll get started on time, 6 impromptu. Okay, who do we have with us tonight?
Paulina, I'm 15.
Braden, I'm 15.
Clyde, I'm 20.
Henry, I'm 18.
My co-host and myself, of course. We're glad you could join us tonight. And my kids told me that red flags are in the media right now.
Yeah,
people are talking
heavy.
about red flags. Why are they talking about red flags? What are red flags?
I mean, it's what you see. Like a red flag could be to you something that somebody does that makes you know you shouldn't be with them or shouldn't be messing
An
with them.
indication that
Yeah.
maybe you better watch out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been heavy on social media. You know what I'm
Really?
saying? A lot.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Well, here we have what are red flags in a relationship. We'll start out with number one, love bombing. Do you guys know what love bombing is?
I know you've told me,
I've
but I don't
heard
remember.
the term before.
I know that one. Love
I
bombing is...
personally never heard it.
You never heard of it? Okay.
No.
I never heard of it until probably the last year, but I look back in my past relationships and I realized it had been done to me. But there's a love bombing that's an intent to accomplish a goal, which is to get you so wrapped up in the person then they can manipulate you and control you. And then, of course, there's that initial stage of the honeymoon stage in the first 3 months where each person only sees the good in the other one, but after that wears off, then they start finding out that the person's not perfect. It's almost like the love is blind type thing, which in a way it is. We only see the good and what we like, but after the new wears off, so to speak, then we kind of start seeing that this person is not really perfect. But the love bombing with an intent is to get you to where you're so emotionally attached to them that you can't see anything they're doing wrong, and they can get you to do whatever they want you to do. I think I was love bombing in my last relationship, but I don't know if it was really on purpose or with a malintent, but it happened anyway. So have you ever experienced love bombing from a man?
Me?
Yeah. Or don't sometimes they kind of do that just... Do you think it was love bombing, or do you think that they were just infatuated with you, or what do you think?
Finish what you were saying. I'm fashion, like whatever.
Well, infatuation when somebody just thinks you're like a goddess and they're so wrapped
Yeah,
up
that.
they can't see straight. But love bombing would be like a guy just trying to be, love bomb you to make you think that to fall in love with him so he can get you to do whatever he wants you to. It's with the intent, with the intent of manipulating you into getting his way with you.
I think that's happened both ways, but it's more like happened without love bombing.
It's kind of like this. Oh, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. You are so fine. I have never, ever seen a girl like you. Man.
And I know that's a lie, so
Are
I'm
you
like,
from here? But I'm saying that's what
yeah, I think
they blow
that,
up your ego.
I think that it's happened in both ways, but mainly not love bombing. So I have been love bombed before, but not as much as, somebody
Right.
else treat me like a
Well,
goddess.
that could be like considered a player too. He may do that. I mean, I've talked stuff like that too, but you can but you could talk like that, and they kind of know you're joking around. You're somewhat serious, but you're joking also. But the person that does it with the intent of just for a girl, if he was doing it to a girl, it'd be just to take her out and have sex with her. But if he liked her, it would just depend on his motive, and you really don't know anybody's motive. So. But the love bombing like we're talking about here has got, I believe, was malintent. So when you meet somebody and they're just, you're the greatest thing I've ever met and I want to be with you forever, whether that's real or not, there's a fine line between whether it's real, I mean, they really feel that way, or they just want to get something from you, or they're using it as a means to an end, which would be to get whatever resources, if you're a man, from you, and if you're a woman, to get whatever, if the guy's doing it, then to get you in bed is what it would be. So that's love bombing. Something you have to watch out for when somebody's just so overwhelmed with you that it seems like, and it makes you feel really good because everybody likes validation and attention. And especially women are a little bit like validation a little bit more than men. But men like it too. We have an ego when somebody tells us we're handsome or we're good looking. We like that, and we tend to like that person if they say that, if we feel it's sincere. And sometimes people, they say narcissist. I think everybody's got a little bit of narcissism in them. So, because I've read about that, and I think, well, I've done that. I know back when I was drinking, I think I was more narcissistic, much more than I am now. So that's number one. The second one is obsession with social media. That's a red flag.
It can be, I guess. I mean, depending on the circumstance. If they have an obsession with social media and they still post you on it, it's a little different. But if they won't post you because they're trying to keep up a certain image, that could be a red flag,
Or
definitely.
if they always
Yeah.
got their face in their phone, they're always on social media to see how many likes they got in their last photo.
Yeah.
I was my last girlfriend had like 18,000 followers, and she was somewhat obsessed with social media. I didn't know anything about Instagram or social media when I started dating her, but I learned a lot about it since then because I've studied it and learned from my experience with her. But actually, it come down to a lot of these girls. If you tell them, here's the deal, it's either Instagram or me, they'll take Instagram or they'll take their boyfriend. And there's no way I'm going to stay with a girl that chooses her Instagram over me. The clock is ticking if they tell that to me. So this girl I met last night from Colombia, South America, I told her, I said, you got Instagram? I always ask them, see if they're an Instagram girl. And some people call it an Instagram, I don't know if I can say it, so I won't say it, but an Instagram garden tool. That's what
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
For sure, there's a lot of
'cause they're showing these they don't show naked, but they show very revealing. What do they call that? It's a word for pornography, but it's not like showing everything.
Sexualizing?
Well, it's a
I know the word.
There's thirst traps and stuff like
well,
that.
but anyway, they're not showing nudes, but it's partial nudity, and they're almost like trying to sell themselves on social media. So I asked this girl last night. I said, "You have Instagram?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "How many followers you got?" So she only had about 2,000, I think, or I don't even know if she had as many as I have. So I'm like, "Yeah, that's good."
Yeah.
Because she's not so wrapped up in the social media and having followers. So, but some of those girls, I mean, that's their whole life. They would much rather ditch their man than. Now it's different if the girl has some type of business and she's actually making money on it and she's selling something. But in the same with the man, if he's all wrapped up, because I knew a guy too that had 80,000 followers. Of course, he was gay, but he was just doing it to. He wasn't making. I think he was making a little money. But really, it was more, at least from what I could see, was more for validation. So that becomes the most important thing, too. And also, what you'll see, if you look on there, a lot of these girls with a lot of these followers, they'll post these, we talked about this last week, they'll post these photos of them at in Cancun or some Caribbean island or in Paris or in Dubai. They never see the guy. There's never a guy there. But you know these girls didn't pay for the trip by themselves.
Yeah.
So they got the guy, the photographer is the guy who's paying for all this, who should actually be getting, actually, I believe, if she cared about him at all, she would put him on there, have someone else take the photo and say, this man made this possible, I could take this wonderful trip. But there are some, but most of the Instagram girls, the ones that are really pumped up with that, they don't do that. It's always a picture of them by themselves at some exotic location and like they're not with a guy. And one thing I admire about some of the girls on Instagram are the ones that put their boyfriends on there. They don't have to have him in every photo, but you do see him there.
Yeah.
It's not like they're single. But I see a lot of girls on there, they're like really good looking. You never see a man. You never see their boyfriend or their husband or whatever. And it's like, for a man, his number one emotional need is to know that his girlfriend or his wife puts him above everything else. Now, a lot of women have a fit over that, but that's an emotional need for a man. And if he doesn't get that from his woman, then it's time for him to go find a woman who does appreciate him and admire him.
Yeah, just like Henry said, they try to keep on that. What was that social image?
Yeah, I said something like that. I can't remember.
That superficial social image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comments? Questions? No?
No.
How many Instagram followers do you have, Polly?
Let me look.
There you go. It's about $2,000.
No, I don't have that many. I'm really not on Instagram that much.
I'm catching up with you.
I only have 770.
Really? I thought you had more than that.
My old account I have, yeah.
How many you got, Brado?
Probably around like 900.
Claude? You got
Like-
close to 2,000, don't you?
Like 1,500.
I think I got like 1,300 probably.
About 50. I'm 16, 15 or 16.
Henry's got
Actually, you probably got. I'm pretty sure you got
1,298.
more than me now.
I thought you did have more than I had.
I did at one point, but then you ended up having more
Claude
than me.
has 1,491.
Ah, yeah. I got
Yeah, I'm beating them.
But you ever notice how when you might post the coolest picture on there and you get like 5 or 10 likes, but some girl, she's not very attractive, just posts some lame picture on
Yeah.
there. The guys are just simping out.
Yeah.
She gets 100 likes on it. Like
My
10
homies
10
be
minutes.
commenting some fruity ass
Straight
shit.
up.
I think these guys think that this girl's going to like them if they like, which a lot of
Yeah.
guys think that If they like, it's not about how they feel about her. It's about how she feels about them.
Yeah.
And if you put a like on a photo, it's like you're no different than the rest of the guys. You're
Yeah.
not unique. You don't stand out because if she's good looking, she's getting hundreds of DMs in her box. So she's got.
Yeah, I was gonna say the DM or two and stuff. And
Yeah.
they try
Yeah,
to come up with some
another
corny
thing-
pickup line.
Another thing is like when guys comment on a girl's post, they just comment the same thing that somebody else commented, like hard eyes, or they'll say
Yeah.
like cutie or something like that.
Well,
so they
100.
don't stand out. But then again, girls don't want a guy to sit there and write a whole paragraph. You're just so beautiful. Like I just want to take you. Like we also don't want that. It's just you kind of got to stand out from everybody else. Like telling a girl. I think a lot of girls, if a guy tells them that her eyes are pretty, that's what gets a girl. So like if she's on Instagram and a guy comments, "Oh, your eyes are pretty," instead of just putting like hard eyes like everybody else did, he'd stand out a little bit more because he's not following what everybody else is doing.
Another thing I was gonna say too, real quick, when a guy comments something on a girl's social media, what they do is they don't entertain the guy, but they make sure that the guy knows that he's seen it by liking the comment.
Yeah, my last ex-girlfriend, because I knew nothing about social media, so I didn't know, and she would get these DMs from these guys or about some photo she posted. So she would go through there so fast, putting hearts and whatever they put, thumbs up and all those different, so she could keep the followers and building up. Because if you don't interact with your followers, then you lose them. So, but still, it's like I just didn't care for that. I thought that was like I don't know, but she would never post me on there because. Well, it's kind of like a dating site, really. So that kind of makes you, and like I said, at the time, I didn't understand how that works, so I was ignorant of the whole concept of it. Where now, I would have left a long time ago had I known. I just didn't understand. But her deal was always, she's going to make money off of it. And I thought, well, I don't know. She never made any money off as long as I with her, but that's just an excuse. So, all right. So now we're going to lack of communication is a red flag.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it is.
I've noticed with lack of communication when it comes to me and females. I mean, I guess to them maybe it's not a red flag, but sometimes I don't communicate to these females and they still hit me up. They'll hit me up first or they'll talk to me.
Well, I think if you're in a relationship, lack of communication is a red flag, but at the same time, necessarily it's not, because I'm not sure why, but I think if you don't communicate in your relationship, it's not going to go any further than where you want it to go. Like,
Go ahead.
no, continue. Go.
No, I was just going to say, what kind of communication? What are you talking? Give me a specific example.
If I guess if you and the person you're dating get into an argument, and instead of like talking about it through, like talking about why you're mad about it or why you feel the way you do, usually like people who don't communicate, they run off. Like they're just like, I'm not talking to you for like, they'll ghost them for like a couple hours and then come back and act like everything's fine. Or sometimes they'll come back and still be upset about it. And the reason why, and then that's why females hold a grudge, because some guys don't communicate with females and females don't communicate back. So I guess the girl always thinks it's the guy's fault for
Oh, I'll agree
starting
with that.
her.
Yeah, I agree with that too as well.
Well, but men and women communicate differently.
That's right.
Yeah, women want men to open up and be vulnerable, don't they, or not?
I mean, some of them do, yeah. Not me.
That's because you're
She's
around
putting
us.
that out there right
Yeah,
there.
that's
And
'cause you're around us.
just so everybody knows,
No, I believe in communication, but let's say you're out on a date with a girl and she disrespects you. You're driving down the road and someone pulls out in front of you and you had to hit the brakes and, and she gets scared and says, God, you can't drive. What the hell are you doing? Or something like that. That's disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a guy needs to call her out on it, communicate to her, look, don't speak to me like that in the future, whatever, and that's it. But if she argues with him, she don't have to apologize in the moment because maybe she's angry or afraid, but she needs to think about what he said. But a lot of times she may start arguing. And as a man, I would say, look, if you want to argue, I'll just take you home now. And there's no sense in talking about that because he's already communicated that he will not tolerate that type of disrespect. Now, if she immediately said, well, I'm sorry, I became afraid, I was afraid, then you just go on. But there's no sense in talking because a woman a lot of times wants to argue her point because she doesn't feel like she did anything wrong. But it's not about the feeling, and that's something else men need to understand too, is women communicate more with feelings. As a woman will tell you, I don't feel like you never tell me you love me. And then a man will say, well, look, I wrote it on the calendar. I told you last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that I loved you. but that doesn't mean anything to her. She's saying how she feels in the moment. Like a woman might say, well, you always talk to your friends before you talk to me. Well, no, I talked to you last night before then, and the night before, and last week I talked to you. It doesn't matter, see, because she's communicating how she feels in the moment. And when she says always, that doesn't really mean always, but for a man, the best thing you can do is say, I understand how you feel. That's all you can say. You don't start, well, no, because I used to do this when I was married. I want to put it on the calendar. I say, no, last Friday I took you out to dinner. I told you I loved you. And then the Wednesday before that, we had that talk, and I told you I loved you then. It doesn't work because she's talking about how she feels in the moment. It doesn't mean, but a man wants to logically write everything down. So, look at this. Look at the facts. That doesn't work. You can't communicate to a woman like that. They don't communicate that way. Would you confirm that or deny that?
Confirm.
Okay, so see, people's watching, think, yeah, but she has to because she's with all these guys.
Yeah.
No.
Well, she's picked up a lot of good things. She's not gonna be going out with the.
And we talked about this the other day. Polly, tell me what the difficulty you're having. You're having a hard time finding a man who is manly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's been happening in your relationships? What's been happening on a consistent basis with these guys that you
Well,
date or
a lot
see?
of the
or-
guys that I've talked to, they, I mean, you kind of have a choice around here. It's either you pick a simp or you pick someone who's gonna play you. There's no in between. You don't get an in between. Like, if you want an in between, you have to date two of those guys at the same time. There's no it's just.
There's the dilemma.
That's why there's a lot of females who go to simps and then they automatically switch to players for a while, and then after they're done messing with them, they find a better guy, which is a simp, and then it's like a back and forth type thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, here I have a hard time finding somebody who I guess is, I don't want to say like up to my standards, but that's kind of.
It's okay to say that. We all have standards.
That's kind of what it is, and it's like, and everybody's like, well, you have high standards for the way you act. And,
as you should have.
and I'm like, the reason why I have such high standards here is because there's nobody, like, up here it's high standards, but also guys want a girl that looks like Barbie. That's what they want. They want a girl that looks like, they just want a girl a lot of guys just want the girl for the looks, like, to be popular, like, oh, I'm dating this girl, like.
Yeah, men like a girl they call arm candy. They want somebody that looks good. That's, yeah.
And then, but there's like no in between, so I just have a really hard time picking a guy that I guess is up to my standards, yeah.
Well, a red flag I see is most dudes will stand out as like a pimp or, they'll say that, they'll front about that, and then they end up being the simp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And what girls call it is, oh, he has a soft spot for me. No, he's just a simp.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't act like that around his friends because.
But don't you want a guy to bring you roses when he comes to date you and hold your hand and open the doors and pull your chair out when you go? You don't want that? Huh? But women say they want a nice guy that treats them like, huh?
Not
No?
too nice.
Yeah,
I mean, when I'm talking to somebody or if I'm dating somebody, I usually tell them I'm like, you're too nice. And then they're like, well, you don't want me to be myself. And it's like,
But
well,
you don't want to teach a guy how to treat you. You
I
want him
don't
to
want
know,
to.
right?
Yeah, I want
a woman
him to
doesn't
know.
want somebody. She don't want to have to teach you.
Yeah, and then like they're like, it's like you don't like me how I am. And it's like, well, you were different when we first started dating. That's why I don't like you right like how you
Yeah.
are at the moment.
They change.
Yeah.
You need to be the man that she fell in love with. And that's what happens in marriages or LTRs is the man becomes complacent and then all of a sudden she's getting bored. They're not doing what they did when they started going out. He's not acting like the man that she met, which doesn't mean that he wasn't the man she met. It's just that men get complacent in their relationships and they just start. She says, I want to go out to dinner. And you say, you're watching football. Where do you want to go? I don't care. And she wants you to lead. Or she's got a problem, let's say she's got a problem in her college and she wants to talk to you about it. But you're busy and, okay, honey, yeah, that's what I would do. You become complacent, as where before, if you were in the relationship, just start going out with her and she wanted to share with you a situation she was having in college, you would intently listen to her. And maybe you would offer a solution if she asked for it. But a lot of times women just want you to listen. Have you guys seen the video with the girl with the nail in her head?
Mm-mm.
You didn't see that? Okay, here's the deal. This girl is talking to her boyfriend. I wish I had it. I could play it. Frank, can you next time anyway? Can you put videos up in the screen?
Yeah, I can.
All right.
Someone said like I've always said, I love a woman with a brain. The looks is just a bonus. And then someone else said too nice equals low self-respect.
Yeah, that's true. The word nice comes from what does this come from? I think it's a Greek word. It's nesio, which actually means naive, kind of stupid. That's where that word originated from. And words have power, even though people don't look at it now that way. But you get out in some other parts of the world, if you're nice, you're a target. They're going to try to take advantage of it. I've noticed that in Latin America, South America, and other parts of the world. There's a difference between being nice and good. Nice girls finish first. Nice guys finish last with girls. Because the nice guy, a lot of times, really isn't nice. He has an agenda. He wants something. He's doing those nice things because he expects the girl to act a certain way back towards him instead of just doing it for free and for fun. What was both the comment? There was one comment there I wanted to comment on.
It was, like I've always said, I love a woman with a brain.
With the brain. Yeah, I agree, but I agree that's true. But men are attracted to looks. But yeah, if she doesn't have nothing under the hood, so to speak, it's like I've met women that were really beautiful, and you talk to them, and it's like, nah. It just.
Yeah.
But I said this last week. I've also met women that were not too beautiful, but the more you got to know them, the more beautiful they became. So yeah, a brain, a personality, a nice attitude. A man wants a woman who will cooperate with him, and a woman wants a man who can protect and provide for her. And that may just be emotional support. Not that he has to be her emotional tampon. You're not her therapist. But you can be there for her during the storms of life because women are emotional beings. Around that time of the month, they really get emotional and they have a hard time thinking straight sometimes, and you need to be the rock. Even if she attacks you, unless she's disrespecting you, you need to understand that she's just going through a difficult time.
Yeah.
And you need to be stable. Whenever a woman disrespects you or she attacks you or she's having a hard time, you need to not let it affect you emotionally. You don't need to react because a lot of times it's a test to see how strong you are because she's got to know if you can protect her if the criminal comes in at night or if you're walking down the street and someone wants to assault you. Are you strong enough to handle that situation? Because you got to figure, women are usually smaller and not as strong. Most of the time, women are weaker emotionally and physically. Maybe some women will throw a fit about that, but it's true. In general, there are some hybrids out there, some women who are an exception to the rule, but in general, and women need a man to protect him. Even if you live here in a first world country where it's relatively safe, there's still times, well, tell us about that time your girlfriend was in. You guys went to California, and what happened in the store?
Me and Bailey traveled to Cali, and I had her go in this gas station and get me some stuff. I'll just go ahead and say some liquor, because I wasn't 21. And I went to the other gas station, which was across the street, and she was like, hey, can you come over here? Some guy's hitting on me. I'm scared. I don't want to go outside because he's out here. And I was like, I'm on my way. And I walked over, and the guy left, so.
Yeah, see, so they don't know how to handle situations like that. Now, if you're a simp, you're like, you're probably not going to want to go over there. And if you are, you're going to go over there tentatively, and this guy's going to pick up that you're afraid. And that's really a setup for a humiliating situation for you and your girl. Can you imagine how she's going to feel if a situation arises and you don't have the balls to handle it? I mean, I've been in a lot of those situations. Unfortunately, I did have the balls to handle it. I mean, it can be a scary situation, but really, if you're a man and the kind of man you need to be, you really don't have to think about it. You just do. That's your job as a man. And if you don't feel like you can do that, you need to get in shape, go to a gym somewhere, learn taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, UFC gym, boxing, whatever, so you can handle those situations. You may never have to, but just feeling and knowing that you can. Sometimes I've been in those situations and just looking the guy in the eye and saying, you need to back off, they leave. Because they can tell that you got a confidence, as opposed to if you're afraid and tentative, these people pick up on that crap. And they don't go after the strong; they go after the weak. They don't want a hard mark. They want an easy mark. They want somebody easy to like when you're in a foreign country. They rob the gringos and the tourists because the tourists a lot of times will just hand their money over. They don't want any trouble, so they're easy marks. And those tourists usually are afraid because they're in a strange land, and it's not like they're in their hometown. So very important to be able to stand up for your woman. And the inner strength, that's from inner strength. Women are attracted more to inner strength than muscles and outer strength.
About what about what Henry said, this guy said, I would walk away too. Too many blue pill boyfriends who are ready to kill a man for talking to his girl.
Yeah, it was more than that. She felt threatened,
Yeah.
so I walked over there to her, and the guy, he
Right.
walked away. So
Yeah, I understand what he's talking about. The blue pill guys are just jealous and insecure. That's a
Yeah.
whole different. Like for me, when I lived in Guatemala with the boy's mother, because at the banks down there on payday, there's like hundreds of people waiting to get their check cashed and a line outside the bank. It's different down there. We would walk by there with their mother, and she was fine. And then every guys would be yelling and whistling and catcalling. I didn't care. She was with me.
Yeah.
But see, in other countries, that's just the way it is. I mean, men down there are men, and they still yell at girls just like they used to do up here on construction sites. But now everything has become so strange or backward that men on a construction site, if they're hooting and hollering at a girl, they can get sexual harassment charges. To me, it's ridiculous.
well, yeah, and that's
Some
the thing.
guys
Like
still do it.
for me, I don't care if a guy's looking at my girl. Maybe he says something to her, as long as he's not bothering her. If she feels bothered,
Exactly.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
say something. Or I'm
That's
gonna
a
do
different deal where she feels threatened.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, a lot of guys are just showing their approval of the girl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all that is. So yeah, if the guy's actually, if she's by herself or they think she's by herself and they're being kind of creepy, that's a different deal. And she wants
Yeah,
you-
that's what it was, yeah.
she needed you to be there. That's a different thing than you and your girl walking
Mm-hmm.
around. Now, on the other side of that, the last girl I went out with, she was telling about her previous boyfriend, and he would get angry at her. And this is probably what our viewer is talking about. He would get angry at her because guys were looking at her when she wasn't doing anything. I'll say one thing about her. When I was with her, she never looked around at other guys. There were guys that came on to her. We were at this one hotel, and the guy that was serving the drinks called the room up there.
Yeah.
Called the room to talk to her. I mean, I was up there, and so I just laughed about it. I didn't care. I mean, she didn't do anything with him, but so, I mean, he knew where our room was. So, but yeah, that's what that guy, now a blue pill guy, would throw a fit and say, "What'd you
Yeah.
do? What did you know?" Of course, she didn't give him. He knew what room we were in, so he called. He liked her. So that didn't bother me because she was with me, and I knew she wasn't. You know, it was his initiative. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's how it is. Some guys, I mean, there is the blue pill guy that gets extremely jealous just because the guys are looking at her, just
Right.
because they try to hit her up.
And if you got a good-looking woman, guys are gonna. I
Yeah.
always like that. Hey, she's with me.
It's
I
a
mean,
compliment to you.
It's
Yeah,
a compliment.
exactly.
This guy said, what kind of man wants a girl that other men don't look at?
Exactly.
Yeah,
right there.
that's true, yeah.
Yeah. You want the woman that everybody wants. I mean, I love it when I'm with a woman and other guys are looking at her. I mean, now it's different if you're with her and she's looking back at them. I mean, that's blatant disrespect. I mean, looking back at them in a flirtatious sort of way. I have had that happen to me, and I called them out on that. So you have to really be careful of that.
Yeah.
You do have to have some boundaries about that. But of course, guys are going to look at your girl. I mean, if I'm out with a girl and no guys are looking at her, I'm thinking, is she not as good looking as I think she is?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you kind of wonder. It's like that movie. What was that movie where? Who was it? Where that guy had that girl, and she was not very attractive, but to him she was beautiful because he'd seen her differently, but everybody else seen her how she really was. I don't know if he took a pill or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're
The
talking
Notebook?
about. I can't remember. No, it's not The Notebook. I can't remember what the movie was called, but like
Yeah, that was interesting. But
she was like really ugly, like genuinely really ugly. But to him, she was like beautiful. He didn't take anything, but for some reason, to
yeah,
him,
he would see her in a distorted way. She was just like beautiful.
It's like when you're
and,
drunk.
like a supermodel. Yeah, like a supermodel. So, but in reality, the truth is, if she looks good to you, who gives a shit what anybody else thinks? You know, if she looks good to you, that's what's important. And if you like her, that's the most important. Screw what everybody else thinks. I mean, of course, we all like it if guys like the girl we're with, because men are like that. We have an ego. We want to have the most beautiful girl in town or whatever it happens to be. I love beautiful women, have all my life. But nowadays, part of the problem is social media has really pumped a lot of them up for validation. But that's not all of them. There are good women out there. And women have the same problem with men. They get tired of being played. They don't, it's like, like she said. So, but there are good men out there as there are good women. But you just have to vet these men and you have to vet the women. You just don't want to jump right in there. You have to be watching out for red flags, as our topic says tonight. So, well, this is kind of what we were going along with here. Controlling or jealous behavior. Now, jealous behavior, I'd never been a a jealous person, although jealousy is, what do they call that? It's mate guarding for men. It's a natural feeling and instinct for men because we didn't know paternity until when the paternity test just came up in the last 30 or 40 years. So before that, you didn't know if your woman was like maybe looking around other guys, or you wondered about her. She could be pregnant and have a kid and say it's yours and it's not yours. There was no way you could know. So that was going on for thousands of years before they ever come up with the paternity test. So mate guarding is a natural, instinctual protection mechanism to know that the boy or girl, your progeny, is going to continue your lineage. So that's a natural thing. But when it gets overboard, where it's overly protective or overly controlling, that's a whole different thing. The jealousy, like that jealousy, they relate it to the green-eyed monster because it destroys. A lot of times it's based on nothing other than the insecurities of the man. But you'll have women tell you with this social media, or if they have boy friends, just guys that are friends, oh, you're insecure. Who hurt you? You know, they say things like that, but when in reality, it is a natural instinct feeling. But as a man, we need to learn how to control these feelings. That's not that you shouldn't call your girl out if she has a lot of guy friends. I don't think if she's your girlfriend, she should have male friends. She should be spending time with male friends. Because as we know, we're men, and we know that guy would like to hit on her if he had the chance. Is he your friend? And you say, okay, if you call him up at 10 o'clock at night and you tell him to come over and have sex with you, is he going to say, oh, no, honey, we're just friends? Very likely, no. So that's the deal with the male friends. And it's the same way with the men. I mean, if they got a girl and she's good looking and he says she's just a friend, more than likely he could be hitting that if he wanted to. So there you go.
Facts.
All right, so we're going to stop on the jealousy. Bad relationship. Here's another red flag. Bad relationships with friends or family. So if they're having trouble in home, a lot of trouble in the home, that's a red flag also.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, if they can't get along with someone that they've lived with for a while, you know, what makes you think that you're going to be able to get along with you long term?
Right. You're going to be the next person that they're complaining about. I mean, everybody has difficult situations in their family, but if it's an ongoing thing, you just need to watch that. If they're continuously fighting with their dad, their mother, their brother, or their sister, it's an ongoing thing. Comment? I seen you open your mouth there. Okay. Extreme emotional reactions. Can anybody
Like
share?
anger issues?
Well, yeah. I mean, anger is a natural thing, and sometimes it gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if they're extremely angry about, let's say you're riding in the car with your boyfriend, and there's someone in a red light, and it turns green, and the guy driving, like me, I'm gonna shut up, and he doesn't take off right away, and the guy driving, your boyfriend, he just has a fit and starts cussing the guy out in front of him.
Yeah.
Wants to run over him, gets up on his ass, and then, that's
I've
when-
kind of had a situation like that before. I was hanging out with this guy, and he was driving, and he just got mad because there was a car, like, coming face to us. Like, this lady was in the middle of the road, and he got so mad, he pulled over and started punching his dashboard.
Yeah, I'd say that's a red flag.
And then, like, there's been another time where I was dating this guy. I was at his house, and he couldn't get, a vape. He couldn't get nicotine. He got mad, started punching his walls and everything in his room. So
Yeah, I'd say
That goes with the next
I'd
thing.
say that's a red flag too. Okay. Emotional reaction, and it can be. It doesn't necessarily have to be anger. It can be like him start crying because, or her, she starts crying because you didn't get her what she wanted, or she's crying every time you meet her. She's crying about something. Everything bothers her. I mean, that's more acceptable for a woman than a man, of course. If a man starts crying all the time, or he's complaining about his mom doesn't love him, or etc. So, all right, alcohol or substance abuse. Ding, ding, ding. There's a red
Yeah,
flag.
that's a big one. I would say that a lot of times a red flag with that would be is if a guy's drinking and then he hits you up late at night because he's got some alcohol in his system or something
Yeah.
like that, I got with that.
I agree with Henry. There's been a lot of guys who have hit me up when they were drunk, but they don't act like that at all if they're sober. Like, if I text them during the day and they're like sober, they don't want to talk to me.
Liquid
but then
courage.
they drink and they're like, "Hey, baby, what's up? You trying to slide?"
The
Like,
smooth dude. Yeah, it lowers their inhibitions. They're not as afraid. I remember when I used to drink, it was much easier to talk to girls because, so what if they reject you?
Mm-hmm.
But when it kind of stings if you're not drunk.
Yeah, another thing about that is a lot of people who do like alcohol and substance abuse, they'll be down bad. They'll end up hitting
They
the
hit up
ghost.
their last option. The girl who's
the
just
last
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, I know when we used to go to the dances, I'd be trying to get the top of the line girl, but I always had a girl on the side that in case I didn't get that good girl, I'd pick this other one up just so I had somebody to be with. But what happened sometimes, I wouldn't get the girl I wanted, the higher tier one, and then the other girl hooked up with somebody else, so I ended up, I guess some people would say, getting what you deserve. Had to go on by myself.
yeah.
Well, not too long ago, I had actually had a few females, I'd say, hit me up whenever they were, under the influence of alcohol. We'll say that for this.
Yeah.
And I haven't even talked to these females for like years. And I don't know, they just randomly hit me up out of nowhere.
Well, they say a lot of times when people drink or they're high, their true intentions come out. The problem is when they're not drinking, they have such a fear.
Yeah.
Like they probably always wanted to talk to you, but they didn't because they were too afraid.
Yeah.
But when you take that alcohol, it takes the fear away. It shoves down that
Right.
fear.
Yeah, not only that, but what's that thing you say whenever you whenever you drink or you smoke, your standards lower or something like that?
Well, your inhibition's lower, and I don't know if how would you say? Yeah, I think people's standards do lower. They'll do things they normally wouldn't do if they were sober, and then feel stupid about it the next day or embarrassed or whatever it happens to be. Yeah, it does. It lowers their inhibitions is what it does. Okay, the next one is gaslighting. And I didn't even really know. We had to discuss that before the podcast because I wasn't sure exactly what that was, but it's been done to me. And gaslighting is like, let me see, somebody did that to me. There's intentional gaslighting and then there's unintentional gaslighting. It's when someone tells you that they told you something or that you did something, usually a couple days ago, and they're trying to convince you that you did it, but you can't remember, but you think, well, maybe I did. And sometimes you can even get the memory or even think, well, and if you're an honest guy with an open mind when it's happening to a man, you sometimes want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe I did say that. But you're not sure because, of course, we can't remember everything we did yesterday or the day before. So I've had it done to me, and my daughter's done it to me unintentionally. She thought she gave me something, my Social Security card one day, said she gave it to me when I was going up the steps. And I think she really had a memory of doing that. I said, no, you didn't. And I was sure she didn't, but I thought, well, it's possible. But then we ended up finding out that she did not give it to me. So, but I've had people do that to me that were, I believe, intentionally doing it, where they said they told me something that they know they didn't tell me and actually convinced me, well, maybe they did because I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt because I realize I'm not always right. And my memory, like all of it, it's not perfect. So we do make mistakes.
That's right.
Have you guys ever been gaslighted?
I don't think I've ever really, besides maybe by family members or
I think
something
the
like
reason why I don't. Okay, so I haven't ever been, gaslit or whatever because I feel like I'm always right, so I'll continue to argue with the person, and then turns out I am right anyway. So
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I remember until I was 30 years old, I was never wrong. How can that be? Yeah, now I realize I'm wrong a lot. So it's much easier to be wrong because you don't have to defend anything. All right, we'll go on to the next column here. You're going to say something? We'll cut you off there. History of infidelity. Do you guys know what that means? Cheating.
oh, okay.
What I like to do when I meet a girl sometimes is to somehow get her to talk about what happened in her last relationship. Here's the deal. If she starts bad-mouthing the last guy she was with, there's a damn good chance you're going to be the next guy she's bad-mouthing.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't say anything bad about him, a lot of times people won't talk about their last relationships. And I'm not saying you should bring that up at the first date, but it's nice to know if they were faithful in their last relationship or what happened. I may ask people sometimes to say, oh, well, he cheated or whatever. a lot of times that's what I get from the girls I talk to. They say, "Oh, well, he cheated," because I ask them, "How long? What's the longest relationship you've had?" Because I really am not looking for someone who's got a high body count. So if they've been in long-term relationships, I think that's usually a good sign that they got a little more moral respect or value than someone who's been going out. Let's say they're 21, 25, whatever, and they haven't never dated anybody over a month. There's a real good chance that girl has a high body count. That she just sleeps with a lot of different guys, as opposed to a girl that, well, I went out with a guy when I was 16 for 4 years, and I dated another guy for 2 years, and then I met a couple of men we dated for a few months. That shows you something different, especially nowadays, because I believe women are more promiscuous, as well as men are too. Things are different. The morals have lowered, so to speak. It's more accepted for men and women to have premarital sex now more than ever.
Someone said, "Is gaslighting always wrong, or do the ends justify the means sometimes?"
That's a good question. You guys have any comments on that?
I don't know.
He said, if you're gaslighting for a positive outcome for the person.
Well, I mean, I don't ever think that there's any positive outcome to gaslighting. I mean, it's called gaslighting for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's take this for example. Let's say it was Paulina's birthday, and we wanted to throw her a surprise. And she came home and said, "Oh, it's my birthday. Aren't you going to do anything for me?" I'd say, "Well, I didn't tell you I was going to do it." "Well, you told me he's going to have a birthday party." "I didn't tell you that." "Yeah, you did. You told me yesterday at 4 o'clock. I wasn't even here at 4 o'clock. You're crazy." Because you're wanting to let her get down a little bit so you can really surprise her. So when you get her convinced that you never told her that, or she gets mad because she says you did, you're acting like you did, and then 10 minutes later, she walks in the other room and everybody's surprised. I mean, you can't, it's really hard to say there's a hard and fast rule on that. I mean, generally, though, to lie to someone is not, it really hurts the liar. But depending on the situation, it's possible that you could gaslight someone for their own good. But you really need to look within yourself and ask you, are you doing this for that person? Because what sometimes people will do, well, let's say a guy's out cheating, and his wife about catches him or something, or he wants to go meet his girlfriend, and so he tells her he's going to go out, and she says, "Well, you didn't say you were leaving today." "Yeah, I told you yesterday." "No, you didn't." "Yeah, I told you. Remember when I come home at lunch yesterday, I said I have to go meet Bill about this job tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and I said I'd be back at 1:30. "You didn't tell me that." "Yeah, I did. We were standing right here. You were wearing that red dress." And then she finally, okay, so now you can take that and say, well, I know I was gaslighting her, but if she really knew what I was doing, it would hurt her. So that's really better for her own good. She doesn't know I'm cheating on her, so what she doesn't know won't hurt. Now that's an extreme example the other way, but a man who's cheating and is lying to his wife about it could look at that as being the lesser of the two evils. Well, of course, if I tell her I'm going to cheat on her, it's really going to hurt her and it'll ruin our marriage. And think about the kids. We want to stay together. So a man can justify things in his mind that really are not good. And when you do something like that, as I've always said, it really hurts the person that's doing it as much as it does the person you're doing it to, because eventually it undermines trust. Even if she never catches you, it undermines trust there. So my advice is, if you want to have a steady girl or a wife and you want to have other women, she needs to know that you're not faithful.
Yeah.
And some women will accept that as long as you're taking care of it. That's between the man and the woman. If you're both adults, that's between you two. Now, going out there and having other women and lying about it, which I've done, it just hurts the person that does the lying, and it also hurts the other person. I don't recommend that.
Most of the time, whenever I hear about gaslighting, it's about mainly the females trying to get their point through to their boyfriends or their man, or whatever they're arguing about or talking about.
And sometimes I think, like that day Paulina was telling me about the Social Security, she actually believed that she gave it to me, but she didn't. So sometimes I think they actually believe, and I'm sure men do that too, they actually believe that they actually said it or that something was different from what it really was. I know it's damn believable when it's done to you, because you don't know. Who can remember everything they said yesterday, the day before, last week perfectly? You can't. It's definitely hard to do unless you. I think I would tell my wife, one of the wives, I said, I wish I had a recording. I was going to record it. But once again, as we talked about before, It wouldn't matter to a woman because she's just talking about how she feels in the moment. So it doesn't matter if you show her the facts because it's different for a woman. The facts really don't mean anything to her. Okay. Here we go. So that's all we're going to say about gaslighting. Oh, that was hit. No, we were talking about infidelity. Controlling nature. So if someone's very controlling, what do we mean by controlling?
Well, he can do stuff like if she tries to go home or something like that, he takes her phone away from her and says, well, you're not going to go home because I said you're not going to, stuff like that.
As opposed to a lot of women will say you're controlling if you say, look, I want to see your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You want to control me. No, it's not controlling.
Usually the reason why girls say that is because they're hiding something.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly. Oh, you're insecure. Who hurt you? That's the famous
Who
one.
hurt
Have you ever
you?
used that? Have you ever used that?
No,
Paul?
I've never used that.
Don't ever use
I've
it.
seen it before. It's like
I've had that said to me
you
multiple
really?
times.
Who
Yeah.
hurt
Hell, we
you?
all been hurt.
Who
Everybody's
did
been
that
hurt.
to you?
Who
Like
did that to you?
why you like that? Like,
So
why
that's
you the way you
turning
are?
it. Yeah, that's turning it back around on the person. Like they're the ones that's a problem. I mean, really, if you're in a relationship, why is there shouldn't be anything hidden? Why are you hiding things? And even a man, let's say you're in one of those relationships where the man does have other women and the woman knows it. I mean, if she wants to see your phone, here you go. But maybe she doesn't want to see it.
A lot of girls tend to avoid looking through their boyfriend's phone because they don't want to find something that's going to hurt them.
And that's the difference between men and women. Men would rather know, but a lot of times women don't want to know the truth. Now, a lot of women out there probably rage about that. But a lot of times a woman doesn't want to know if her husband's messing around. She knows it, but she doesn't want to know it. She doesn't want. A lot of women will accept a man who cheats. She just doesn't want it rubbed in her face.
That's the thing. Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
that. I've had a girl tell me that she just doesn't want to know about it.
Right. She doesn't want to know about it. I mean, and here's the deal. If you're taking care of her, treating her good, and giving her what she wants from a man, she would rather share an alpha or a man who has other women than she would be strapped with a beta or a weak simp. Because that alpha man is going to protect her. Because I know even when I was with a steady woman and I had other women, that woman and that was with me was taken care of. Nobody messed with her. She was safe. She had everything she needed. She didn't have to worry about it. That's the one thing one of my ex-wives said to me after she was gone. What did she tell me? Because she used to say, oh, you're controlling. And then after we were split up for a year or two, she said something to me about regretting that she broke up with me and wished she was back together with me. I said, well, see, you don't have to put up with me trying to control you. She said, well, at least you cared about me. Yeah. I did. She knew that she said, I knew I was safe with you. And I wasn't trying to control her. I was trying to keep her from destroying the marriage. Because a lot of times if the man doesn't lead, he doesn't have to control, he has to lead. And he has to make a final decision on things. Like if she wants to go with her family and you think she's running around with her sisters who are single and they're going out, you need to put a stop to that. Now, most women would say that's controlling. Well, you have to trust me. It's about trust. No, it's about I'm not there to protect you. If you're out at the club with your sisters who are single and going out with men, you're putting yourself in a position where you may do something that may jeopardize our relationship. No, you have to trust me. It's not that women are different. They're just not, they're more vulnerable than men. She goes out, has a few drinks, and then maybe she ends up with some guy. She feels guilty as hell about it. Let's say you never find out about it. But then the trust, there's something, it does something to the relationship, even if you never know, because a man can feel that crap.
Yeah. I've noticed too I've had friends that have relationships that their girl has run around on them and that didn't know, and then the girl's disrespectful to him.
Exactly.
You know?
If he doesn't find out for some reason, and men do this too, can do it, she disrespects him because he's allowed that to happen, even though he doesn't know about it. It's up to him to protect her from herself. And I know a lot of our women subscribers, which I probably don't have too many because this is mainly for men, would object to that or say that's wrong. But a woman left her own means a lot of times will ruin her. She'll sabotage the relationship. And I've allowed that to happen myself because I wasn't being a strong enough leader. And leading is not about being a dominating asshole. It's about leading by example. Because when it comes down to the bottom line, one of you have to make a decision. If you're on a ship and it's sinking, the man needs to lead to try to get both of them out of that damn situation. And if he can't, he'll make sure his woman, and if he has a child, they make it even if he has to give his life.
Yeah.
Now, how many times does a woman do that for the husband and the man? It just doesn't happen. So there you go. The man does that because he's inherently stronger internally, and physically. And that's what men have done for centuries. So this equalism or men and women are the same, it's just not true. And that doesn't belittle women. That's not saying women are less than men. We're just different.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got any more comments? We're going to wrap this up. No?
Any comments, Frank?
Anybody have a question there on our chat? Like and subscribe. Hit that like button if you're watching right now. Do it. Leave a comment in the comment section.
I'm ready to slump, my boy.
No
Can't,
questions.
bro. You can't.
I addressed the exact same issue
I'm
recently.
pregnant some too.
Girl went out with her housemates drinking without telling me. I set boundaries saying I need her to tell me before she does that. She loves me more for it now.
Exactly.
That's good, yeah.
Exactly. A woman wants you to tell her no.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is sometimes we get so emotionally involved with a woman, we're afraid to tell. We think she'll like us more if we give her what she wants. A woman doesn't want you to give her everything she wants. A man really doesn't want that either. I mean, you don't want somebody who's always. A man wants a woman with a little bit of fight to her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, geez, wouldn't it be boring if she just knuckled down to everything you wanted? I mean, you want cooperation, but you definitely want her to have her own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you want to be arguing with her all the time. But I would say he did the right thing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining us tonight. We will be back next Saturday. And if you'd like to get my help personally, marksinspiration.com is my website. You can get a hold of me there, and we'll put the email in there and pick up a copy of my book, Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels. There's a lot of stories in there, which are true, at least as I remember them, that will help you in your life. I had a lot of challenges, which I was able to get through and rise back up out of the dust from. I don't know how, but I did it, and here I am today. Also, the power is within. That's kind of a workable plan about how you can make your life better, how you can get the garbage out of you, out of the inside of you, so that power that we all have, we're all connected to, can flow through you and help you to achieve what you came here to do. You have desires within you. You just have to step through the fear to achieve those desires. You came here to do something important, and only you know what it is. But it's that thing that keeps coming up, and you say, I can't do that, or I don't have enough money for that. You can do it, but you have to take that step in the direction. So that's it for tonight. See you next